What's up, family? Welcome into another edition of Make Every Second Count Live with me, your host and international award-winning Make Every Second Count speaker. Sorry, pumped up every time I say that because that's freaking amazing to me. But so I ask you guys if you would please hit that share button and hit that like button and give us all kinds of thumbs up, frowning faces, cry faces, hearts. You can even get angry at us. I don't care. Just help us trick the algorithm on any of the socials that we're on. And then I ask you if you would please invite people to watch this and share it out as much as you can. But with no further ado, I would like to bring to the stage Miss Tatiana herself.
Hi,
Hello, Tatiana. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, not a problem. You sound amazing, and it's probably because of that headset. So
Thanks.
I like to help people get set up for success, even though I don't have a headset myself. Isn't that weird?
It is. But I prefer it because it does work a lot better than just the normal microphone.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you enjoy it. So, with no further ado, would you please tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do? I am going to be inviting a few people on my phone so we get some more interaction during the show.
All right, awesome. Well, as I said, my name is Tatiana Marie. I was born and raised in Michigan, where I still reside. And yes, I know Michigan's cold weather. I don't like it, but one day I'll be someplace warmer. And currently, I working with a partner of mine where we do a cleaning business and insurance business. Um, and then I also have a farm that I manage too.
Wow, you're a busy person.
Yeah, my animals keep me really busy.
Yeah, well, I know when I texted you the other day, you said you had to get your
Share my
goats
sheep.
covered up or
Yep.
sheared.
Yep.
That's right. All right. So, I know personally because when I was 17, I was involved in a serious car accident. I spent 2.5 months in a coma and 3.5 in the hospital. I wasn't supposed to be walking now, but I am. And I want to show people that while they have things in their life that they have to go through, it's much better if you can grow through those things. So, has there been anything in your life that you have had to grow through?
I actually unfortunately have a lot. But the most biggest thing that has affected my life, the biggest, was the loss of my significant other, my kid's father, back in October 17th of 2007. He was 28 and I was 29 and a half.
Wow. I'm so sorry to hear that. So what was it like to raise those kids and how old were they when he passed?
My son was 11 and my daughter was 3.
Wow, that's quite the age gap.
Yeah. Yep. But raising them by myself, luckily, I will say I have, they say it takes a community to raise a kid. That is so true. I am so lucky to have the best support system ever. But it's hard because as a single mom, like I wanted my kids to have that same life and environment that two parents would have that me and their dad had planned for their future, and I wanted to get that to them. But being the only person to do that, it's very stressful sometimes and very hard. But you figure it out.
Yeah. Wow. So how did the death of their father affect your children?
They, oh, my daughter was really young. So she doesn't remember much. I know growing up, my son, like I said, he was older. We kind of talk to this day. We still talk about him almost like he's there on a regular basis. We have pictures up still of him. It'll be 18 years this October since he passed, and I've always made sure that they know everything about their dad, things that we used to do with him, things, his preferences, and fun things he used to do, and funny things he'd say. It was hard on my daughter and my son during like Father's Day at school, um, whenever they had daddy-daughter dances, stuff like that. Usually my daughter ended up staying home from school those days, because she really had a hard time because she didn't have it. Even though my dad, who was alive at the time, because unfortunately I've lost him too, shortly after my significant other. I've lost both my parents to cancer, yeah, and my sister. So I,
So sorry for your loss.
oh, thank you.
Losses.
Yeah, like I said, I've unfortunately been through a lot, but their dad was the biggest one who's changed my life, did a whole complete 180. But my dad even volunteered to, to kind of step in and go to daddy daughter dances, and it just wasn't the same. So usually my daughter stayed home. She was very attached to me for the longest time until she got her first horse, and that's when she started building up the confidence again and started talking to friends and making friends. Because until then, she was basically like a growth on my side.
Yeah, that's understandable. I know the one guy in the audience in this show, Ben Bruce Fane Jr. is he's lost both of his parents, and it can be really tough. I mean, I lost my mom in 2016, and I it's really tough to get through.
It is.
So, uh, what is it that kept you driving forward? I mean, you are a person now that has two young kids at the time of your husband's passing, and you you're struggling yourself. So what is it that kept you from diving into that grief as a lot of people would and moving forward?
I What I'm about to say, I don't necessarily recommend, but I kind of just bottled everything up and was like, I have to. I had my moment. The night he passed away, I clinically went insane. Like I didn't know I had kids. I didn't know my name. I didn't know anything. And no, most of the night I only remember because of what people tell me. So when I got myself back together again, my thing was I cannot let this affect my kids. My kids have been I'm gonna cry. My kids have been everything to me, and they were the whole motivation to continue to keep going so that I can give them the life that their dad and I had always planned and intended and was working towards.
Yeah. So you said that it takes a lot to be a single parent, but it takes a lot when you lose your significant other. So, what would you tell somebody that doesn't have that support system, doesn't have all those people there to help them?
I would say one, if you don't have them there, if you can to find a therapist, or I always volunteer for people who don't have it. I'm like, I'm here. I go through it because it's different when you lose your significant other versus a parent or an uncle or a friend. And because that's basically your whole life. When he died, it was like I picture black line for a road and a stick person walking, and then the night he died, everything went white on the other side. Like my whole life was over, everything that I knew. So not only did I lose my best friend, my significant other, my kid's dad, but now my whole life that I had planned out and everything was now gone. I had to figure out myself because he was part of me, and figure out what I was going to do now. And if you can't necessarily, if you don't have that support system, I say honestly, the best thing that's helped me is talk to other people. Eventually, at first, you might not run into people who can relate to you, but eventually you will. You'll run into people like me who will be like, you know what, I got you. Let me tell you, because that's what happened to me when he first died. No one had a lost a significant other at that point. No one knew how to like deal with me and what I was going through. And I have worked for this company. I won't say any names, but there was a coworker of mine, and I thank God for her every day. Um, she came up to me and pulled me aside, and she's like, "Just so you know, my husband died, like, several years ago. If you need to talk to somebody, I'm here. I know what you're going through." So, you have so many things going through your head and so many thoughts and so many things going on that sometimes you're like, "Am I crazy? Am I losing my mind? This isn't right, the things I'm thinking." I would go to her and be like, "Can I ask you a question? Like, I feel like this or I think like this. Like, is this normal? Like, what's wrong with me?" And she'd be like, "I went through the same thing." And if it wasn't for her having her to talk to, and it was just all because everybody happened to know my kid's dad, so they knew that I lost them. Then they knew how bad it affected me. And she came up to me, and that's why when I come across people, I will come right open and just offer my information to people just so they know there's somebody out there so that if I can help them the way my coworker helped me and gave me somebody to talk to and to kind of be like, is this normal? What's going on? That's what really got the ball rolling for me. And that's kind of what kept me motivated up until I met my best friend about 5 years later.
Wow, that's cool. I'm glad that you met your best friend,
Yes. He's
and
my lifesaver.
I am glad that you are still moving forward with your life after losing all these people, all the part of your support system. But it's awesome that you have found more of a support system. So, we do have a question here from Ben Bruce Ifane Jr., who is actually from Nigeria, but he
Oh,
is
wow.
working in the Seychelles right now. So he is in the Indian Ocean right now. And he says, "What is the biggest challenge you face as a single mother?"
Trying to do it all, trying to be mom and dad and work, pay the bills financially, get into their horseback riding lessons, gymnastics, soccer, lacrosse, being there to help with homework. It's just trying to be everything in one. That's probably the biggest challenge because I tried that at first. I was like, I'm gonna do this on my own. I'm gonna be both of us now that he's not here. And eventually you have a breakdown and you can't. And you find your person who doesn't judge you, who doesn't care, and you can just say and just have your total meltdown. And then they start helping you, and then you start opening up a little bit more, and then you start having your community come in to help support you and take some of that off, so then you could start dealing with your grief and your loss and your feelings and emotions.
Yeah, that is really, I I know that it has to be tough to deal with your emotions when you're trying to be everything for other people. And that's why they say that you have to fill your cup first, but you kind of have to take care of yourself before you can take care of other people. And when you have kids, that's difficult.
It is, and that's the one thing I did, and I don't recommend doing this, but I buried everything. And it's been an 18-year long journey for me to heal from losing somebody 18 years ago because I was like, I just kind of disassociated from it and had to do what I had to do, take care of my kids because it was like 10 months after my significant other passed away, my grandmother had fallen and she passed away, and her and I were really close. And then it was 9 months after that, my mom found out she had cancer. So then I had to take care of my mom, and then she passed away 10 months after she found out she had cancer. And then I found out I had cervical cancer. So I had to deal with that. And then I had a best friend who had taken his life, unfortunately, on my birthday. So I had to deal with
On
that.
your birthday?
Yeah. And then my dad found out he had cancer. So then I had to take care of my dad, and he passed away of cancer. And then in 2021, my sister had passed away. So I had to keep burying everything. I tried to deal with it here and there, but I just didn't have time. I had to bury it out, take care of my kids, make sure they were good, and try to pretend like I was normal. And then I'd come home and close my bedroom door at night when kids were in bed and everything got quiet and just lose it. And it wasn't healthy for me. I got sick physically, mentally, I was wearing me out. And luckily, like I said, I started building my community and finding the people who don't judge me. I could do whatever. If I want to have my breakdown and say the stupidest things, if I want to run around and just roll around in mud and take out my frustrations and start whipping mud at whatever, they don't care. They're just like, "How bad is? Are you done now? Can we talk?" And that's why this past year and a half, now that my kids are all grown and I've changed my careers, that I've had time to actually sit in my house and I had to deal with my past. And I had worked so hard this past year and a half dealing with a loss that I lost 18 years ago because I had to basically put it in the back burner and disassociate, and it causes physical health problems and mental health problems, and it affects future relationships that you have coming and everything. So I don't recommend doing it, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do to survive.
Wow. That is crazy. It's just the whole not dealing with something and bottling it up. Does, how, does that affect you? I mean, it's oftentimes said that it'll, like anger, will turn the soul black. So, what does all your grief affect you in that kind of way?
It does, and especially right after, like, I hated everybody, and I hate to say this because I didn't mean it at the time I said it, but I wanted everybody's significant other to pass away. If mine couldn't be here, I wanted everybody else's to go away. I wanted them to pass away. I had a lot of anger. I had a lot of I talked a lot of craziness, but you know what? It's normal, and people need to get that out. And luckily, when I met my best friend, thank God for him, I could say whatever. If I were to say that, he knew I didn't mean it, and he'd be like, get it out, come on, get it out, throw something at me, yell, scream." And that's where I started because we were actually going through a healing process together and kind of helping each other. And that's where I got it because the best thing to do so you don't turn basically inwards and isolate yourself or you have that anger towards the world or have it negatively affect you by drinking or addiction and stuff like that or toxic behaviors is to talk about it and live in those emotions, which is something I didn't do, which is what I've been doing for like last year and a half, almost 2 years. I've done a little bit here and there, just to kind of dip my toes in it, but then life came and I had to dip it back and keep going. But just that you will never heal and you'll never get back to you and find you until you work through all those emotions and feelings. And I do not recommend waiting 18 years like I did.
Yeah, so Ben Bruce also asked the question, what advice would you give to somebody currently in the same situation? And I think you actually just unintentionally answered that question because you would tell that person not to go inwards, that you need to express that grief. You need to actually live that grief. You can't internalize it all, correct?
Correct, exactly. And if you talk
Yeah.
about it, you will find other people. Because a lot of times, I know my issue when I first happened, no one knew it, with anything, not just grief, but any type of trauma, you tend to think I'm the only one who, no one else can relate, no one else knows what I'm going through. But when you start talking about it, you're realizing that, oh, here's this person, and you kind of build a relationship with that person, like I did with my coworker, and then you'll find as you're talking to somebody else that, oh, they do. And you start being there and you realize that other day you're not alone. And then you're like, okay, now I have this community, even though we don't know each other very well. Now, all these people are going through it. I'm not alone. There's other people. If they're making it, they can do it. I can do it too.
Yeah, that's something that I've realized is that when you actually go out and you're intentional about um you're intentional about telling people that, hey, this is going on with me, I don't know how to solve it, that they have often gone through something very similar. And it is something that we need to let other people help us with. But we try to be this person that is all godly and we try to solve all these problems ourselves. And we need to realize that we don't have to solve all of them ourselves. We can oftentimes, the what I say, growing through something involves somebody else helping you grow through that. It is
I
that
absolutely agree.
you agree? Well, I'm glad to hear
Yeah, I
that.
totally, absolutely agree.
All right, that's awesome. So Ben Bruce Jr. also says that he loves the positive spirit. And then Adam Mark Robinson said, I'm tearing up, Jeff. This is an emotional episode, man. So much strength and adversity and loss. So
Sorry, I'm gonna cry now.
no, I understand, but I just want you to know that you are having an effect on people in the world with your story, and you are helping people out in the world. So, what's next for Tatiana?
Well, I am definitely not completed on my healing journey, and getting over that. I'm still working out. Thank God I have right now, even right now, I have amazing people and person who puts up with a lot because I still have my moments where I just spaz and I just flip out and be like, I can't do this because my biggest fear is, you know, getting close to people and losing them. So that's still something that hits me, and sometimes I get a little crazy and I say some weird things, and they're just like, "Okay, I got you. Don't worry about it. We're okay." But my next thing is just to build my empire. Now that my kids are grown, my thing is to build the empire that my kid's dad and I originally started to build at the time he passed away, and start my businesses, move eventually to Tennessee because that's been my dream to move there forever since he passed away, actually, and just watch my kids get married and maybe someday, not now, but someday
Yeah,
have grandkids.
not now.
Yeah, not now. I'm not ready for that yet, but someday maybe have some grandkids.
Oh, you
I'm
went.
talking way down though. Way,
All
way
right.
down.
Okay. Cool. Well, so do you have any ambitions to be a speaker or to write a book or anything like that?
Actually, it's funny you say that because another coworker of mine, I'll say her name, Alicia. She has been bugging me to write a book forever because of my experiences. I got into speaking. And I would love to speak in front of people or wherever. I got into doing podcasts and speaking because I learned through accident, actually, that by talking to just anybody, that I could help them and make my trauma and my adversity and everything that I went through at least worth it. I mean, it's never, because they always say time heals all wounds, but it doesn't. You just learn to adjust and live to the new life that you've been dealt. And sometimes, like you said, you need people to support that. So I would love to talk to people and support people and let them know that I'm here. I went through it. I understand. And if you want to be crazy with me because I'm not going to judge you because I'll probably join too. I don't care. But I would love to do that just because it makes my loss a little bit less of a loss if I can turn around the negative into a positive to help other people.
Yeah. We have Robert Brooker in the comments.
Yeah.
He is from Canada. He says, personally, I celebrate weird because I am. And you were talking about getting a little weird with the way you snap it sometimes, the way your emotions just come out all at once.
Yes.
All right, so we have a question from Adam. He says, what do you do on the hard days to cope?
Well, there's a couple of things. If it's really bad and I'm having a mental breakdown, I have a couple of people, they know who they are, that I call to, and I will just cry. I will probably just whatever I have to say. These few people know that no matter what I say, I don't mean it. Whether I'm like, I want to drive my car into a brick wall, they know I don't mean it. I just got to get it. I've said it. I will admit it. I say it because I call it colorful with my words. When I talk, I'm colorful. That's what, but I don't mean it. I'm not going to do it, but I just have to get the frustration out. Or my big thing is, like I said, I have a farm. I will love to ride my horses, go talk to my pig, go talk to my cows. Um, I dress my animals up. I take my animals to the store. I've taken my cow shopping with me. Um so I do that as a stress reliever. Of course, shoveling manure gets a lot of that frustration out too. But mainly I will call the people that I know don't judge me, and I could just say whatever and just get it all out, even if it doesn't make sense. Sometimes I talk and it sounds like I'm psycho and I need to be locked up, but I just get it out and I'm like, I know it doesn't make sense, but blah 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 blah. And then they're like, okay, you done now? Okay, now let's be realistic. Let's talk about this. Let's work through this. So I'm very fortunate on that, and having that support system, and that's why I always volunteer to be people support system and to know like you're not alone. So you need something, I'm here.
Yeah. Wow. That is so cool that you give that support system to other people. I find that to be so honorable.
It's the least I can do, like I said, to make I look at it as, it might not be, but I look at it as caring. My significant other, my kid's dad, was amazing. He helped everybody. and he's just it's an astounding person. And to me, it's keeping his memory alive, and it's help and by talking about him and by help letting him, even though he's not here, help other people by talking to them about what happened and making them helping them on their healing journey. It's kind of like keeping him alive and he's still here.
Yeah. That's a great idea. And the whole thought of the book that I was talking about there is that that would also help his legacy live on, because you would be helping other people and other people would be learning about him. And yeah, I just think that writing a book is something that could definitely help you, your own mental health, and your own recovery. I mean, you said you still struggle with recovery someday, so
Yeah. Yeah, and
just
you
a
will always
thought.
struggle. Yeah, I would love to write not a book about everything that I've gone through, but also for people who don't think they can necessarily do it. I will it's a little bit not to brag about my significant other, nothing, but he graduated high school and built a $7.8 million hotel on his own. Designed it, helped do the construction work, ran it, and we had it for 10 years until he passed. Unfortunately, he passed away in the hotel from a fall. He fell 26 feet. So we no longer have that because it's very hard. I couldn't go back up there after that. But he built that. So not only is what happened with my life, but his life and the motivation that he has inspires me. And so I would like to, don't ever think that you can't do anything because nothing is impossible.
Yeah, that's something I like to say, because if I had listened to that, I would still be in a wheelchair or in the hospital now. I wouldn't be walking. I wouldn't be out traveling the world and speaking and just making my impact on the world. So wow. Do you happen to have any contact information you would like to give out?
I'm on Facebook, Tatiana Marie, and Instagram, TikTok. Um, I have an email. I was involved in the music scene for several years, so it's just TMMP and then PRODUCTIONS um, that you can reach me at. Facebook, social media is probably the best, to be honest with you. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It's all under Tatiana Marie. I can give you the information, and if you want to post it, so your followers and listeners can. I accept friend requests. Hit me up, send me a message, and if you need anything, if there's something happens, if we need to call, we can exchange numbers or whatever, or whatever. I don't know. WhatsApp. Everyone uses WhatsApp now. I could download that and use that, whatever they use. I don't know.
Yeah, that is so cool. And thank you so much for taking the time away from your animals to be here with me and my viewers. Great conversation. And you are definitely a strong woman.
Oh, thank you. Thank
Yes.
you for having me. I'm so glad I was able to do this today because it's something that I love to do. And if I help at least a few people in your audience, it's worth it. It makes what I go through so much better and easier.
Yes. Ben Bruce also added, thank you for your time, Tatiana. He
You're
appreciates you.
welcome. You're
So
welcome.
I need everybody out there, including you, Tatiana, to do me a favor this week, next week, and for the rest of your life. I need you to make every second count. Why? Because you never know when the seconds will run out on your one life. Thank you guys so much. I'll see you back here next Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And again, thank you, Tatiana. Have a
Thank
great
you.
evening.
Bye. Having a good night.